afternoon to all. Myself Shreya, and today we are going to start a new topic of math, which is mensuration. Now, what do we mean by mensuration first? So, mensuration is a branch of mathematics which deals with the measurements of the geometrical figures and shapes. You can say that also. So what do you mean by the measurements of shapes and geometrical figures? So for example, the perimeter and the area and many more things, these all are included in the mensuration. So we had talked about the branch of mathematics which deals with the measurements of the shapes. What about the branch of, do you know there is one branch of mathematics which deals with only the measurements? Do you know its name? It is known as metrology. Metrology. Okay? So, now let's talk about the mensuration in details. So let's start with the perimeter. So what do you mean by perimeter? I think you all know this because we are studying this from the third class. So the perimeter is just the length of the boundary of any shape. For example, if I will take a square, so the length of the boundary, this whole length is the perimeter. Sorry, this length, this and this and this. So the length of the boundary of any shape is the perimeter. For example, let's take a real life example. So let's say that there is a square park and you ran one round of that. So if someone asks you what is the length or what is the distance covered by you, so what is your answer? What will your answer going to be? So the answer of yours is going to be the perimeter of that park. And let's take another example. Let's say a farmer wants to fence his ground, his land. So now he requires the measurement of the boundaries of his land, and that's nothing but the perimeter of his land. So perimeter plays an important role in our day-to-day life. We have seen some real-life examples also. Now let's see how to calculate the perimeter of the different shapes. Now it depends on the shape. So now let's start. So let's say that you want to measure the perimeter of square, or how do we measure the perimeter of square? So for measuring the perimeter of a square, we all know, let's say that let me draw it here. Now for measuring the perimeter of the square, what do we need to do? We need to add the length of its all sides. Let's take that the length of each side is, let's say, 5 meters. So what will be the perimeter of the square? The perimeter of the square will be 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is 20. So that means that the perimeter is going to be 20 meters. Now right? So we can see here that we are adding the same number 4 times. 4 times. Yes. Here we take the help of the multiplication. So multiplication is nothing but the repeated addition. So let's build the formula of the perimeter of a square. So what will be the formula? The formula will be, so the perimeter of square will be 4 into S. What do you mean by S? S is just a variable which represent the length of each side of square. So we all know that all the sides of the square has an equal length. So because of that, if I will say that this side of the square is equal to 5 meter, so we can understand that these all measures 5 meter. So like this, that's why we are going to add this 5 or this side, the length of each side 4 times, as we had seen this example. So because of that, the formula of the square, the formula of the perimeter of the square is 4 into side, or it is 4s. So now I think that it is clear. Now why are we writing this 4s? Now that's because the multiplication is taken as a default operation. So if we want to represent the multiplication, we can just simply write the two things, not the numbers, a variable and a number together to represent that they are multiplied. If we want to multiply 5 into 8, so we can't write it as like this, 5 8. That is not going to represent 5 into 8, but it is going to represent 58. So that is totally wrong. We can only write a variable and a number like this. So in this case, the multiplication is taken as the default operation. So now we can see that the 4 is multiplied by s. Now I think that it is clear. Now let's move on to the rectangle and let's see how to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. So the perimeter of rectangle is, so now let's take a rectangle here to understand this. So let's say that the length of the rectangle is equal to 10 meters and the breadth of the rectangle is equal to 5 meters. Now how we will calculate the perimeter? Simply we know that here the opposite sides have an equal length. So let's just forget this and now let's just add them up. So 10 plus 5 plus 10 plus 5, what do we get? Here simply, as you can see, we can also simplify this. How? See, 10 plus 10 and 5 plus 5. Like this we can write. Or more simply, we can see that 10 is added to 10, or the 10 is repeatedly added to itself. It is added to itself, so that's why we can also take the help of the multiplication again. So now let's simplify this. So we can also do like this. 2 into 10 plus 2 into 5, as 5 is also added to itself. Now when we are done with this, can we see? Can we use one property? That property is known as distributive property, and Now here we can take the help of that to build the formula of the rectangle, the perimeter of the rectangle. Now let's see. So we can write this as 2 into 10 plus 5. Now it is very simple. So 10 plus 5 is 15 into 2 is 30. So that's what the perimeter, the formula of the perimeter of a rectangle is. So the formula of the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 bracket L plus B, in which L represents the length, and B represents the breadth. So L represents the length and B represents the breadth. So what is the formula of the perimeter of the rectangle? The formula of the perimeter of the rectangle is 2 into L plus B, which is 2 into length plus breadth. Now we had just seen it, how to take out the formula of the rectangle. We had just also applied this formula. So now let's take another example. So let's say that here the length of the rectangle is 25 and the breadth of a rectangle is 10. So what will be the perimeter of the rectangle? We can also do it like this, that we can just plus 25. Sorry, here it is meter. These both are in the meter. Units are also important. So here we can also do it like this, that 25 plus 25 is equal to 50. Then 10 plus 10 is equal to 20. 20 plus 50 is equal to 70. We can also do it like this, but it takes a little time. So now let's use the formula. So here, when we use our formula, what do we get? We get it like this. 2. What is the length of the rectangle? 25. What is the breadth of the rectangle? 10. What do we get when we plus these? We get 2 into 35. Then simply we can just multiply this. So what do we get? Here we get, so here we get 70 meters. Now as we had seen that this formula makes the perimeter of the rectangle very simpler to calculate. So now I think that it is clear, and now let's move on to any other polygon. What do you mean by polygon? Polygon is basically a closed figure which is made by the straight lines. Now let's move on to the another polygon. What if you want to calculate the perimeter of an n-sided polygon? What do you mean by n-sided polygon? So polygon could have many number of sides or infinite number of sides, right? There could be a 3-sided polygon which we call as triangle, then a 4-sided polygon which is known as quadrilateral, then 5-sided polygon which we call it as pentagon, then 6-sided as hexagon, 7-sided as septagon, 8-sided as octagon, and many more. Now what if that there is given like there is a n-sided polygon. Okay, we don't know how many sides that polygon has, but we know that it has n sides. N is a variable here which represents the number of sides that polygon have. So let's say that there is a n-sided polygon. N-sided polygon. So for the perimeter of n-sided polygon, what we will centimeter, right? So n-sided polygon, one thing which you have to keep in your mind is that this n-sided polygon, it will be regular if there is a question. In the question, if it is given, so it will be regular of it. So if it is like given like there is an n-sided polygon, so it is going to be regular, because if it is irregular, so what will happen? It could be like it is it don't have all the sides equal, so it could be like this. So let's say this is 3 centimeter, 4, 5 and 6 centimeter. So like this, when we get this type of figure, so we have to calculate the perimeter by adding this up. There is no formula for this. But if an n-sided polygon is a regular polygon, which simply means that it has the equal angles and equal length of its all side, so then just let me write down this regular, that is a regular polygon. So then the formula goes like this: n, which is the number of sides, into the length of the side. Why we have taken like this? See, that's because, let's take any polygon. Let's say that there is a hexagon. So here we can see that here is a hexagon, and when we say that it is a regular polygon, and when let's take any length of its one side, so let's say that it is 5 centimeters long. Now, how you will calculate the perimeter? Simply you will do 5 into 6, which is 30. So we can say that it has the 30 centimeter of the perimeter. So what we are doing here, we are just multiplying the number of sides. How many sides it has? 6 sides. What is the length of each side? 5 centimeter. So we are just multiplying the number of sides with the length of each side. So I hope that it is clear. So now let's move on to the last polygon, and that is the triangle. So now let's move on to the triangle and let's see. So perimeter of triangle. So now let's see how to calculate the perimeter of a triangle. And now there is a very interesting thing. That's because the triangle, there are basically 3 types of triangles. Which are classified according to their sides. So we need here sides, not the angles. So just let's look at the sides. So there are 3 types of triangles. They are known as isosceles triangle, scalene triangle and equilateral triangle. Now let's talk about these 3. Let's talk about how to calculate the perimeter of all of this. So now let's see about firstly about the equilateral triangle. Now calculating the perimeter of an equilateral triangle is very simple, or the easiest. Let's see how it is. Now let's say that the length of its one side is, let's say, 25 centimeters. Now what do you mean by equilateral triangle? So equilateral triangle is a triangle which has all the sides equal, and if all the sides are equal, so all the angles are equal. So we don't need the angles, so now let's keep that away, and now let's talk about the sides only. So an equilateral triangle has all the sides equal. That means that it is a regular polygon. And what is the formula of the regular polygon? N into L, in which n represents the number of sides. So here how many sides are there? 3 sides. So 3 into, yes, what is the length of each side? The length of each side. So what is here? Here it is given 25. So that is equal to 75. Here 75 centimeter. So this is the formula of the equilateral triangle. What is the formula? The formula is, here let me rub this on. So the formula is 3 into, let's say s, or you can use any other variable also. So we had learned that we can represent this as 3s. So I think that these all is just clear to you. Now let's move on to our another type of triangle. What is it? It is an isosceles triangle. So here this is an isosceles triangle in which two sides are equal. So now let me just write here. Let me just write the length of each side. So here this side is about 8, let's say 8 centimeters, and this has 5 centimeters. It is of the 5 centimeter. So now how we will calculate the perimeter of an isosceles triangle? So simply we can just do like this. 8 plus 8. Actually this is also same. Why is that? That's because the isosceles triangle has at least 2 sides equal. Not at least. It has 2 sides equal. So as we can see here, these two are equal, which is 8 centimeter, and this has the length of 5 centimeter. So how we will calculate the perimeter? What we are going to do simply, we are just going to add these up. So 8 plus 8 plus 5, like that we are going to do. But what we can see here is that we can again take the help of the multiplication. Now let's see. So here we are adding 8 2 times, so that becomes 8 into 2. So here like this we had just generalized this. The formula, what is the formula of taking out the perimeter of an isosceles triangle? So the formula is, let's suppose that the equal sides are represented by the variable s, and the unequal side, there is only one unequal side, so let's represent as u. So what will be the formula? The formula will be 2s plus u. Why is that? That's because we had seen it here, right? 8 into 2, so 8 into 2 here. So we are representing the 8 as the s, because we are making the formula, right? We are generalizing that. So here 8 is represented by s, and we have learned that the multiplication is the default operation. So we can represent it like this, 2s plus u, which is the unequal side. As we can see, in this case it is 5, and now this 5 is represented as u. So what is the perimeter? So we all know that the perimeter here, I think you had already calculated it, it is 21, because 8 into 2 is 16, and 16 plus 5 is equal to 21. So now I think that this all is just clear to you. Let me just put the unit. Yes, so I think this all is clear to you, and now it's time to move on to our last type of triangle, which is the scalene triangle. So now let's see the formula of the scalene triangle, the perimeter of the scalene triangle. So let's say that this is a scalene triangle, and here the length is 6 centimeter. Here the length is 8 centimeter, and here the length is 5 centimeter. The length is 5 centimeter. Now how we will calculate the perimeter of this triangle? It is a little tricky, right? Why is that? That's because there is no formula. Yes, what we have to do? We have to just add all of the sides. That is 8 plus 6 plus 5. We have to do like this. We have to do it like this. So we can generalize the formula of a scalene triangle as A plus B plus C. So that is going to be the perimeter of the scalene triangle. So I think that it is clear. So what does this A, B and C represents? A, B and C represents the each side of the triangle. So I think that this all is clear to you, and thank you for watching this video, and in our next video we are going to learn about the area of different shapes. So thank you for watching this video and have a cheerful day ahead. If you want any improvement in me, you can comment it in the comment box. Thank you.